We have another fan question. It's Sheila from Lubbock, Texas. Jennifer, a video came out where a lawyer says she did some digging and found out Christian's restitution wasn't $250,000, but $12,000. Have you seen proof that the amount was $250,000?
First of all, these people doing all this digging, they have no idea what they're talking about. That was the initial amount, but there's motions that get filed.
Okay.
So there was an additional motion that got filed for more money, which was hospital bills.
Okay.
Like, I know the truth. The restitution is paid, so he's done with this case.
Was that something you guys did together, or did he pay this off on his own?
The Christian has never asked me to pay a thing.
Wow.
So let's clear all that up right now. He's definitely never asked me to pay any of his restitution. He can pay it. We're good.
Evelyn, you look a little uncomfortable. Was it the restitution number?
I don't care about the restitution, but I do feel some type of way when I hear about it.
In what way?
Because there was a domestic issue. I don't know the specifics.
That's not accurate, because Christian was acquitted of anything domestic. So, I don't want that false narrative to be out there.
Can you tell me what he was actually convicted for?
False imprisonment.
Okay. Does that still make you uncomfortable, Evelyn?
It's triggering for me hearing those things. We had a conversation with her, and I just think Jennifer was talking fast when she said, it probably would have been better if she would have something about a car crash.
If you say, don't leave, let's work this out, that's considered false imprisonment.
I ain't never saying that.
He would have been better off just letting her go, get in a car crash, and whatever happened to her. Well, yeah, because that's what his attorney said. It wasn't, I was not being insensitive to you.
I understand. You're really emotional, and I do understand you being defensive and protective. I love you and I want the best for you. The majority of us have experienced domestic violence situations, but when we hear you defend him and speak about the victim publicly, that's triggering for some of us. And whatever it was, we cannot tell her story.
No,
right?
Listen, I'm not trying to tell anybody's story.
I know. Don't be defensive with me. I know.
No. Listen, it's behind him. We're moving on. The restitution is done. I'm not going to continue to talk about it.
Listen, Jennifer, throughout all of the years on the show, the ladies have had strong opinions about each other's love lives. So I know you all have tried lovingly to talk about that. I know that there have been some cast members.
Speaking of Jennifer Williams and Christian Gold, our very own Symone Redwine made somewhat of a soft appearance on Basketball Wives tonight, in which they talked about some lawyer, did they call her nosy? I'm not sure, but some lawyer was snooping around and found out some details about that $250,000 restitution that Christian Gold said that he had to pay before he got married in Paris. All right, Symone Redwine, here's your chance to defend what she's saying you lied about the real restitution amount.
Yeah, the only liar here is her husband, the jailbird, Christian Gold. Christian Walden actually is his name. The alias is Gold. And in the episode today, there was an audience comment, and the comment said, is it true? There was a lawyer that stated that she revealed that the restitution was really $12,000, not $250. And they asked Jennifer, have you seen documentation confirming that the restitution was $250K? Jennifer says, there is paperwork, and on the paperwork, there was another motion that was filed, and that motion included the medical bills, and the medical bills are what was $250. Jennifer is repeating the lies that Christian told her. Pull it, tink, tink. Pull it, tink, tink. Bayla, put on the screen the motion, please. On my channel, which is called Girl, Is That Legal? On YouTube, I found the restitution order, which was $12,500. I also broke down how initially it was only $6,000 for restitution. There was a restitution hearing. In the video, I shared the transcript, and the transcript found that there was an extra $6,000 of medical bills, right? And that's how they came to the $12,500. Jennifer, though, she doesn't believe me. That's fine. You can believe your jailbird husband. But I just want to point everyone to this document that was on the screen here. Thank you, Bayla. This document was filed by Christian Gold's attorney himself and says right there in paragraph 2 that the defendant was sentenced, blah, 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 to pay restitution in the amount of $12,500. And then on the very next page states that in paragraph 4, a money order for the final amount before it was paid before counsel was hired. You can get no money order for $250,000 because that wasn't the restitution. And more than that, his own lawyer, this is his lawyer, signed by his lawyer right here, who, by the way, has a Gmail. Remember, guys, if your lawyer got Gmail, you're probably going to jail. If your lawyer got AOL, you're definitely going to jail. So
If you got Gmail, you're gonna be found guilty. All right, so hold on a second, because you taking us a little fast. You talked a little fast. So okay, tell me. So restitution, could there be? What is restitution? Number one, define it. In this case, could there be other restitutions for the same crime out there somewhere that Jennifer's looking at different paperwork that everybody else, including the courts, aren't?
No. And Jennifer's hazy language was, she said she saw a motion. She didn't see medical bills or any of that. No, restitution is reimbursement to the person. Some people have said, well, could it be pain and suffering? No, pain and suffering and those other things you have to get in civil court. So to clarify, criminal court can only give you restitution for what you actually paid, including if you had health insurance, they're only going to give it to you for your out-of-pocket portion. If you want any other things, that's why you have to go to civil court, which this young lady never did. That's not an issue here.
All right, so let me ask the next question that I think is quite obvious, because allegedly, right? Help me understand this. You read the court documents. The young lady was trapped on a balcony for over 24 hours. She decided to jump off of the 4th floor balcony to get away, and in turn broke some bones. Do we know what bones she broke?
So it wasn't 24 hours that she was trapped, but she did jump. She broke both of her ankles. She has a rod now in her back. She hurt her back, her spine, all of those areas, and was in a wheelchair for 3 months at the age of only 19 years old.
Now, to me, that sounds like she deserves about $250,000. Why was she only awarded? Why was she only awarded such a small amount?
Because those were the receipts she provided to the court, verbatim from the transcript that I read line by line. Again, her insurance company may have shelled out a lot more, but you do not get what your insurance. The restitution is only the out-of-pocket portion paid by the victim.
All right, Attorney Turner, you work in the medical field around a whole lot of cases like this. Anything you want to add to this as it relates to the law and for our listeners so that they can understand their rights if they're ever caught in a situation like this as well?
Well, I think the important thing is what Attorney Redwine distinguished, which are the criminal penalties versus what might be recoverable in civil actions. And we've talked about this previously on the show, and you've said, why didn't they sue criminally when they've sued civilly? And often it just depends on what their motivation is at the time. And so for our listeners, what we have to make sure that we do is keep your receipts. Now is not the time to be sloppy. When something happens to you, get organized, keep a record. So then when someone asks you what your out-of-pocket expenses are, you actually provide them with an accurate number so that you will be made whole after the criminal process is terminated, as opposed to you're like, oh, I forgot about this, I forgot about that, I forgot about that. So, but the civil action is coming, don't you think, Attorney Redwine?
I think the statute of limitations is passed, so she can't. And honestly, so it happened in 2015. And at the time, she was a victim of his DV. She didn't want anything to do with him anymore. She was 19 years old at the time that this happened. So my understanding is she really wants to just kind of move on with her life. And at the time, she felt there was no money to be received there, including under those facts, there wouldn't be an insurance policy like a homeowner's or renter's policy that she could collect from, due to the fact that she too was a tenant in that residence when it happened.
Got it. Now, is she the mother of one of his 2 kids?
No, that's somebody else. So he had a child in high school when he was 17. And then when he was fresh out of the slammer, he had 2. Now he has 2. One is 3 years old and one is 1 year old, or 2 years old. Yeah, 1 year old. So he's got a 3-year-old and 1 year old. Moves really fast. So we've got 50-year-old Jen. Go ahead. 50-year-old Jen is stepmammy to a 2-year-old and a 3-year-old. I can't make this stuff up. Oh, and you got to remember, her fiance is 32-year-old, so technically she could be his grandma too.
Symone.
Okay,
beautiful.
all right. Well, we're gonna come out. We're gonna come out the gate hard like this. Let's keep it going. All right, Bootsy.